Testing. Right, good morning, everyone. It's 9:30 and the inquiry's resumed. It is going to be a rather short session today. I think everybody's aware of the circumstances, but Mr. Roberts is not able to be here today for personal reasons. So given that we were halfway through dealing with his evidence, we can't continue. So just a few matters to pick up on before we adjourn for today, quite promptly. I had asked for some documents by the end of this week, so I appreciate now we're adjourning a little earlier than expected, but I've been given a set of plans from Extra. Thank you for those. Can I just check those are all plans that were already before the inquiry? Yes, good, thank you. I haven't had anything from Applegreen yet, but I understand they're coming next week due to printer availability.
Indeed, so.
Yes, okay, that's no problem. Thank you. The site visit itinerary was still being worked on. Has that reached a conclusion, or is there a little way to go yet?
Could I just ask, in this case, Mr. Osborne, who's been dealing with this, addresses you on that matter, sir?
Yes, thank you.
So I shared a draft document with both sides this morning which sets out a programme. Quite willing to share that with you as a draft until we have the plan that needs to go with the schedule that we've set out. I have indicated a short break between site visits to whether you wish to have a short break or want to continue just through from 9:30 through till when we ever complete. That's your decision, which we can factor in.
I think it sounds like it's going to be a fairly lengthy visit, taking most of the day. So I think, yes, it would be a good idea to be able to take a lunch break at some point.
Thank you. I'll programme that in. I can share that with Ian now if you wish to see just a draft, and we can finalise that for submission on Wednesday.
Yes. What's outstanding? Is it just getting final feedback from each of the parties?
The schedule is agreed. It's just the plan that's being worked upon that shows the areas where we wish to visit.
I see. Right. Yes, if you could share it in draft form just so that I can get a rough idea where the parties are expecting me to see and to check that everything that I want to see is covered as well. And then I can feed back if not.
Certainly, I'll do that straight away to the programme officer, sir.
Thank you. As far as conditions are concerned, Applegreen have provided me with a hard copy of the conditions, which haven't changed since the previous version at the beginning of the inquiry, as I understand it. Thank you. Haven't had anything from Extra yet. Perhaps you could just tell me what the situation is there, please, Ms. O'Toole.
We're just discussing with National Highways because we just need to bring all of the highways drawings into line with where the boundary for detailed access now ends. So we're hoping to conclude that early next week, and then we'll send an updated schedule which will have the new plan references for the highways drawings.
Right, okay. I had asked for the conditions by the end of the week because obviously I need to prepare for a condition session next week.
I can send you the draft as it is now. It'll just have the caveat that those highways drawings will be updated.
Yes, please, if you would then, and I'll wait for final confirmation before the condition session. Thank you.
So could I just check from those who are here and present that the conditions are all those which have been agreed with the local authority? Because I understand that is the case, sir.
Yes, my understanding was that these the conditions being put forward were in agreement with the local authority. Is that the case?
That's my understanding, sir, and I should imagine it's more what you think of them than what we think of them.
Yep, again, just subject to the caveat on the highways drawings. And also, I think it was raised in Mr. Bateman's evidence whether or not we needed a further condition in relation to Solihull Road and the height.
Yes.
So I'll try and get a draft of that along with the confirmation on how the biodiversity net gain is being secured.
Thank you.
If anything else is needed, I'll get that to the council as well.
Right, okay. And of course, we're going to have a detailed session dealing with conditions and planning obligations next week. Good, thank you.
So just so you know, for next week and plan for that, I've spoken to Mr. Osborne, and I understand it's been the case with all parties, but I will not be participating in that unless there's some legal matter you wish any response to dealt with directly by Mr. Osborne.
The conditions and obligations
That's
section?
right, sir.
Yes, right, okay, thank you. Okay. I've been made aware, Councillor Ryan, is that you, is it? Hello. I've understand from the programme officer that that you've said you might want 10 minutes to address the inquiry. Could you just tell me how that comes about at this stage in the proceedings?
Thank you, sir. I wish to
There's no
address
need
the,
to stand and
I wish to address the inquiry with regards to the green belt and the Meriden Gap, where one of those sites is firmly within the Meriden Gap, namely Catherine de Bonds.
yes, I understand that. I've heard quite a lot of evidence on greenbelt and landscape matters already. So what was it that obviously the council has presented a case? You're a councillor, a member of the council. Are you expressing your own personal views or the views of members?
Sir, I am a member of the planning committee on Solihull and have been for many, many, many years. And what concerns me a great deal and saddens me is that there has been a difference of opinion between the elected members of the planning committee and the officers to do with one of the sites. And I think having my feelings addressed in public with regards to that matter would certainly ease the situation for me as an elected member of the council, putting forward the views of the local constituents. And where that was being thwarted by different opinions from the officers who are employed by the local authority, then that concerns me a great deal, sir.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And you say that about 10 minutes
10
is
minutes,
what you
sir,
would,
yes.
you would like. Okay. Could I just ask for the parties' views on whether we could accommodate that perhaps next week?
I'm sure we could, sir, and I would have thought that I assume you'll start at 9:30 on Wednesday, and if Councillor Ryan is able to be here at 9:30 for next Wednesday, I would have thought start the day with the 10 minutes and then we'll resume Mr. Roberts.
Yes. Okay. Anything for extra?
Am I able to check with my counsel just to confirm he has no view on this?
Well, I'm going to make a decision on it now, but
Okay.
obviously if there's a concern that arises from it once you've spoken to your advocate, then obviously you can let me know before next week.
Yeah. Okay. On that basis, then no.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Steele,
So I have no points against that. Of course I haven't. I just understand that it would be Councillor Ryan's own personal view because I have no instructions from the council solicitor that there be any different case to be put forward.
right.
Council. Don't want to in any way denigrate that. It's just that I want that to be clear as far as that's concerned. If I'm wrong with respect to that, perhaps the council would make that clear to me outside the inquiry.
Right, okay. I mean, it's a slightly unusual situation, Councillor Ryan, in that the council has put a case and you're also a member of the council. So it might be worth having a discussion with your colleagues and discussing what you want to say and how it affects the case that's being made by the council. But are you available at 9:30 on Wednesday?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, okay. So if you come
Yeah.
along on Wednesday, and I'll hear from you first thing before we carry on with the remainder of the evidence. Thank you. Right, okay. And then just to nail down how the programme will work next week, my understanding is that the parties are confident we can conclude Mr Roberts' evidence on Wednesday in the morning, and then we'll move on to the conditions and obligations session in the afternoon. Is that correct?
So yes, when I spoke to my learned friend Mr. Chung yesterday, obviously before turn of events that's led to us having to adjourn today, Mr. Chung, indicated to me that he thought he had 2 hours of cross-examination for Mr. Roberts. My learned friend Mr. Steele has indicated this morning to me very fairly that he has no further questions for Mr. Roberts. So, and so far, I have little re-examination. Obviously, I'll wait and see what my learned friend Mr. Chung does and the answers and so on. So that sounds to me like if we start at 9:30, we have Councillor Ryan for 10 minutes or so. That sounds to me as if we will comfortably finish Mr. Roberts, subject to any questions by your good self, obviously by lunchtime.
Yes.
Whether we take the full hour or not, we can perhaps decide on Wednesday, because I understand we need to leave this room at 4:30 on Wednesday. But an afternoon, even stopping at 4:30, seems to me to be ample to deal with 2 sets of conditions which, you know, between ourselves and the council agreed, and subject to the new conditions, or I understand it agreed between Exeter and the council, the 106 planning obligations, ditto, you know. So I think really it's going to be largely a matter of what you make of the conditions and so on, rather than the parties. So
Yes.
it seems to me that, you know, we might need to keep an eye on the brakes, but I think we're going to be fine. Famous last words.
And any different view from the other parties at all?
Not at all. So as Mr. Kopsky has said, I made it clear that on reflection overnight, it's a matter of submission at the end of the day about matters which are before you already.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing further.
Okay, good. Right, fine. So we do have 4 days put aside next week, but there's no need for us to sit on Tuesday by the sounds of it. We can resume on Wednesday, hear from Councillor Ryan, complete Mr. Roberts' evidence, then move on to conditions and planning obligations. On Thursday, we have the site visit planned, and we've talked about the itinerary for that. And I see PPE arrangements have been made, and everybody needs to remember to take their lateral flow tests the night before and make sure National Highways have those hopefully negative results. And then we'll carry out the site visit on the Thursday, and that will just leave closing submissions for Friday. Okay, anything else then before we adjourn for today? Right, thank you everyone. Have a good weekend, and we'll adjourn now until 9:30 on Wednesday.